Alright, welcome back to my channel. Today we're here with another financial video just to give you some food for thought. So as you can tell by the title, we're gonna be, me. So I'm gonna be breaking down some alternatives to your everyday bank savings account. Just as someone who used to work at a bank myself, I saw day in and day out people who use these savings accounts, put their money into it just because they think it's the right thing to do. And granted, it's not the wrong thing to do, it's just not the best thing to do. There's better things that you could do with your money. I know that your typical bank CEO or the head of your favorite banking institution is not gonna be fond of this video. And quite frankly, I don't care. I'm sorry, I'm here to help you guys out. And before we dive into any of those alternatives, I just wanna run a few details at you just because they're really necessary to know and be aware of when you are saving your money. So first and foremost, pause the video right where you are right now. Go ahead, I'll be here. Go to your banking app and look at your savings account. I want you to really know what percentage of interest you're actually accruing on whatever amount is in your savings account. Go ahead, look it up. I'll wait. So, now that you've looked up your savings account interest, you probably saw that you're getting probably, somewhere around 1%, whether it be a little bit more, whether it be a little bit less. Just to throw some numbers out at you to kind of justify how much you're actually making with 1% interest. If you have $5,000 on January 1st in that savings account and you don't take a single dime out all year, so no transferring from savings over to checking and then putting it back later, you have that $5,000 in there constantly for the entire year. You don't add a dime, you don't take a dime out. December 31st, you're gonna walk away with a whopping $50. Yeah. Now, I'm not here to bash $50. $50 is $50. However, if you told me that it was gonna cost me $5,000 and a year's worth of time to walk away with $5,050, I might take my business elsewhere. I'm gonna be honest with you, because there's a lot of things that I could do with $5,000 to walk away with more than $50 on top of my initial investment in a year's time. Another thing that I really want people to be aware of when they're saving any amount of money is inflation. Inflation is very, very crucial in general. So what inflation is basically the increase in price for goods and services over the course of time. Just to break it down even further, it's the simple concept of the power of your dollar today being stronger than what it's gonna be in the future. It's just simple economics. Just to put things into perspective, if you look back 15, 10, 5 years even, gas ain't getting cheaper. Over the you might have a day where it's like, oh, we saving 6 cents today, but over the course of time, gas prices are climbing. You're not going back to the prices that you saw 3, 4, 5 years ago. It's just not happening. So with that being said, the average rate of inflation is about 2% a year. With that being said, if you're not making at least 2% a year on whatever your investment is, you're actually losing money. So if I'm getting 1% interest on my investment, but the power of a dollar is actually decreasing by 2% as time goes by, you're actually losing money. So whatever it is that you're doing with your money, you have to be actually accruing more than 2% interest for it to make sense over the course of time. Wow, that was a lot, That's just good information right there. You heard that crack? That means I'm working. That means I'm working. I'm cooking out here. Okay. So now let's get into those alternatives. So first and foremost, you can invest your money into stocks or the foreign exchange market. With the foreign exchange market and with stocks, your potential earnings are untapped. Granted, before I go any further into this one alternative, I want people to be very, very clear on the fact that you don't just dive into the stock market or the foreign exchange market without doing the proper research prior, because that is how you lose money. Because when you're investing in stocks and you're investing in the foreign exchange market, you're investing in these entities that are going to either increase in value or decrease in value. And the increase or decrease in value could exceed whatever rate of return that you're getting on your savings account. And I feel like for me personally, you actually have more opportunity to walk away with greater returns because you can make an investment, pull it out, walk away with whatever returns that you were able to obtain, and then reinvest some money. So you have more flexibility in my opinion. Whereas if you put your money into a savings account and you take it out too soon, you're actually forfeiting some of the interest that you can get. So that's alternative number one. Alternative number two, Pay off your debts. I just want people to do simple number crunching. So let's say you got that same $5,000 in your savings account. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you actually found a savings account that gives you 2% interest per year, okay? And now instead of $50 a year, you're walking away with 100. We're leveling up. Sounds great, right? Okay, say you got a $5,000 balance on your credit card, and you also have that $5,000 in your savings account still, okay? If you leave that entire $5,000 balance on your credit card all year at the, the typical or average 19.9% interest, you're probably walking away with an extra $1,000 in interest on top of that $5,000 balance. So now at the end of the year, you actually owe $6,000. And you still have that $5,000 sitting in your savings account and you walked away with a whole 100, okay? Crazy. You walked away with that 100, but you also walked away with $1,000 extra on your debt. And that's just me saying, in case you weren't making any payments on your balance, that's me assuming you'd be neglectful. I know you wouldn't be, because I told you not to in the last video where I told you to watch your credit. You're supposed to pay your balances. However, if you took that $5,000 that you had in your savings account and said, you know what, forget the $100 I can make in interest over the course of this year, and you paid off that entire credit card, you wouldn't have accrued an extra $1,000 to now owe. Tackle your debt. Use your savings to tackle the debt that is actually hampering you, and then work towards starting fresh with owing nobody any money and now saving and adding money on top of that. You're eliminating an expense. And not only are you eliminating an expense, you're eliminating an expense that's only going to add to itself. So let's get that rectified. If there's no reason why you have this debt sitting here and you have the money to pay for it, please wash this debt away, because it is taking a toll on your credit score, and it's also taking a toll on your pockets over the course of time, because you're incurring extra interest on top of that balance. I'm losing breath just thinking about it, because I'm sweating. Oh my God. Please, if you have the capacity to do so, please just pay it. You're going to thank yourself in the future. I promise you. You're going to look in the mirror and kiss yourself, because it's simple. It's simple math. On to alternative number 3. Invest in a GIC or a savings bond. So what a GIC is basically a guaranteed investment certificate. Well, basically what a GIC will do is lock in your money and give you a guaranteed return at the end of whatever term you agree to, but it usually has a higher rate of return than your average everyday savings account. So if you know, one, that you want to discipline yourself and make sure that you do not have access to the money, so you're not dipping into savings and transferring it to checkings and then spending it, put your money into a GIC, because then you don't have the option. And the price of which the bank is going to pay you for having that extra security on the money that you're putting away for savings is a higher rate of return. So instead of just the 1% that the bank was going to give you with this everyday savings account, they'll probably give you an extra, 3 or 4%. And then you know that you're going to be exceeding the rate of inflation. So those are things that it's worth looking into, because your money is untouchable. You're not allowed to touch it. You don't have access to it. And you're ensuring yourself to walk away with more return than your everyday savings account, which is probably going to be beneath the rate of inflation. So you're not walking away with a net loss at the end of the day when you really factor in the power of your dollar. On to my last suggestion for the day. Invest in yourself. Invest in yourself. If you've got a business idea and the startup cost might be that same $5,000 that we've been using for this entire video, when you invest in yourself, you actually have uncapped potential. You never know what that business idea that you've been thinking of that might have a little bit of a startup cost can actually bring you in returns going forward. If you've been thinking of going back to school, for instance, you put that $5,000 to that tuition, you go to school, you walk away with a new degree, and now you have more earning power in the working field. Invest in yourself. So, look into starting up that small business that maybe you were thinking about, that side hustle that might have a little bit of a startup fee. Maybe you should go back to school. Maybe you want to put that money into your house. If you own a house and you go put $5,000 worth of upgrades into your house, when it comes time to sell the house, if you plan on selling it at any point in time, you're gonna get more than $5,000 worth of a price increase when you're selling. So let's just say I own a house I do. And I want to go ahead and switch out all the light fixtures that I have in my house for pot lights. So now, instead of just, you know, the ceiling titty, I got actual pot lights with a dimmer, and I can raise the lighting. I can have it at a mid-level. I can have the lights, you know, romantically set for a romantic evening with my baby girl. Then, you know, I have that option. And it may have only cost me about $4,000 to pay the contractor to do that upgrade for me. When it comes time to sell my house value now, having pot lights versus ceiling titties in every room, is going to be more than just the $5,000 that it costed me to pay that contractor. So that's just something I really want people to think about. Doing simple upgrades on your assets will increase the value of said asset by more than just the cost of it. So those are just a couple of things that, you know, I want people to kind of keep their eye on and, you know, think about, because I can tell you firsthand, having your money in a savings account and then looking at it the next year and barely recognizing the difference because you barely earned any interest in that savings account is top tier frustration. I don't want that for anybody. I want people to think outside the box, because the bank makes money off of you not thinking outside the box, off of you just putting your money in this savings account because that's what society tells you is the right thing to do and the safe thing to do. You're not always going to make a fortune off of doing the safe thing. Sometimes you gotta think outside the box and do things a little bit differently. And that's all I'm just trying to, you know, emphasize here. So hopefully this video was of use to you. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you took away something useful. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe, make sure you know, feel free to DM me and tell me some other things I may have missed. If you got another idea that I didn't even think of or mention here, shoot it at me, because if it's one thing that I am very, very, very keen on is being open to more information, because I'm trying to maximize my dollar too. So if there's something that I forgot to list here, I'm listening.